Joining us on stage, we have Chrissy Williams. We also have Ian Barner, and the session is going to be moderated by Rachel Kramer. Welcome to the stage.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Are we ready for some retail real talk? Yes? All right. So as Chrissy said, I am Rachel Kramer, Senior Director of AI Activation here at Movable Inc. And in my role, I am helping scale DaVinci, our AI solution, which you'll hear a lot about throughout the day. Prior to joining, I was on the client side at Neiman Marcus, so a luxury retailer based in the States, where I was in a variety of email and CRM roles for about 6 years. And I was both a client of Movable Inc. Studio, as well as Coherent Path, which is now DaVinci. And so that brings me to Chrissy and Ian. What the three of us have in common is that we've all led similar transformations at multi-billion-dollar or pound retailers. So in today's chat, we'll talk about the key challenges and successes of bringing big picture visions to life, really putting innovation to action. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Chrissy Williams, Head of CRM, Loyalty and Personalization, as well as Ian Barner, Senior CRM Manager of Loyalty and Retention at Currys. So please introduce yourselves.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Good morning, everyone. So absolutely delighted to be here. Thank you for letting us come and share the stage with you and to talk about the very exciting journey we're on at Currys and in Team CRM and Loyalty. My name is Chrissy. I have been at Currys for just over 18 months now, so I'm quite new. I'm not quite purple-blooded yet, as we call the long-standing people. Hello, team. That we say people who've been a long time at Currys, but I work with a very talented team of CRM and Loyalty superstars. Some of them are here today, which is great, so thank you for joining. My remit is broad. I cover trading, CRM campaigns, loyalty, MarTech and data, as well as personalization strategy. And with that comes many challenges because there's a lot of BAU. But at the same time, you really want to make sure that yourself and the team have a really sharp focus on what's next and what the future is and where you're trying to go. So it's never boring. It's never still. It's fast-paced and fun, and delighted to be here and tell you more about it shortly. I'll hand over to Ian to introduce himself.
Thanks, Chrissy. I hope I'm one of the talented individuals you're referring to.
Of course.
My name's Ian. I've been at Currys for about 8-9 years. Prior to Currys, I joined the group working in Carphone Warehouse for about 2 years, looking after customer acquisition. And obviously, prior to a merger with Currys, obviously I transitioned across, and I've basically been working a few roles across trading, retention roles. Currently, I look after loyalty and personalization, and what that entails is all around innovating our loyalty proposition as well as driving personalization at scale. So, yeah, that's me.
Awesome, fantastic. So the title of the session includes the phrase change agent, which is a theme throughout Think Summit today, and you heard Vivek mention it in his keynote this morning. So let's start there. What does it mean to be a change agent?
Great question, thank you. So for me, it's a very big part of my role, which I love, but it's not always easy because you can't drive change on your own. You need to bring the team and your stakeholders with you every part of the journey to be successful. And sometimes when the projects become too big or too busy or too much things happening, it's so easy to forget where you're heading and why you're working on the project. And I think that's where being a change and remembering why you're working on it, what you're trying to deliver is so very important. So if I can summarize it, I would say that to be successful, you need to be really clear on the status quo. Where are you today and what is the barriers and blockers for you and the team to do better or to drive more revenue or commercial performance? Once you're clear on what the barriers are, you need to be really clear on what are the differences and what are the changes you're trying to deliver and what would that unlock for the business, for the customer, and for the team. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, you have to take stakeholders with you. We've been particularly good at selling in the big vision and talking to internal stakeholders how DaVinci is transform how we do retail CRM at Currys, and we got lots of exciting stakeholders who can't wait for the pilot to go live. But sometimes where we have actually failed is keeping people in the loop, because it's not just enough to talk about the big vision where you're heading, it's making sure they follow with you every step on the journey, whether it's going well or whether you're coming across obstacles. Because as I mentioned before, you can't drive change on your own. So taking the team and the stakeholders with you is really, really important, a key part of being a change agent.
Absolutely. What about you, Ian?
Yeah, I echo everything Chrissy said, and I think from my perspective, I'd say change, many people want to change for the sake of changing, and I think for me, what a change agent means, it's someone who has the ability or the vision to see a few steps ahead, but not only sees the vision, but also understands the steps that it takes to get there. Because there are many people who have, blue sky thinking, they have an idea of where to get to, but without a clue of how to get there. And I say this because it's always good to understand the steps and the impact of it to teams that you work with. So if you're able to understand the steps and get a team to buy into it and your peers to buy into it, naturally the change will come. So I think, echo everything Chrissy said, but just understanding the steps to get there. Yeah.
Yep. Very well said, both of you. So again, it's about not just having the big vision, right, but understanding the operations, the business pressures, being adaptable, being flexible, and articulating it clearly and simply is really important. So we've been speaking fairly abstract so far, so I want to dive into a tangible use case, which I know you all want to hear about, which is driving your organization to adopt AI. So I'd love to hear, where are you at on that journey?
So for me, one of the things that actually attracted me to Currys 18 months ago is that Currys places strategic importance on innovation and driving change, and they don't like standing still, which is exactly my ethos as well. So that was really appealing to me. And as an organization, we have partnered together with Accenture and Microsoft this year to look at where and how we can embed much more generative AI across the business to be more productive, but also to find efficiencies in how we work and deliver work. So that really appealed to me. So we are ahead of the curve in that we are looking into options. We have a number of case studies going on now, particularly in brand and marketing. We are looking at how AI can help us develop content creation and copy at scale. So that's running at the moment to very, very positive results. But I would say that nearly every single department at Currys at the moment is having some form of pilot or test learn when it comes to AI, which is really encouraging. For me, another thing in terms of journey, I inherited a very, very high-performing and well-established team when I joined, who had, over the last few years, dabbled in AI and dabbled in many other exciting innovation projects and tools. So they built up trust within the organization. So for me, actually, the journey I've been on since I joined, yes, I've set my vision, I've set my North Star, I know where I need to get to, but it has not been as difficult as I thought it might be for a large organization like Currys to get the support and get the stakeholders behind me. Instead, as a result of having a forward-thinking organization, where even the ExCo is very much about, let's make sure we're being as innovative as we possibly can, do not stand still in how we think, how we work, how we deliver things, look for efficiency, look for smarter way of doing it, try things. If it doesn't work, great, move on. Just do not keep doing what you're doing. So that was very good. And then, of course, with the trust that my team had built up, it was actually so incredibly easy to get my supportive CMO and other senior leaders to say, that sounds like a great opportunity. If you can deliver what you say you deliver, that would be a massive win for us as a business, and it will totally transform how we do CRM and even loyalty and personalization in the future, even with the tech stack we have today, and even with some of the other constraints that we face, such as resource, such as conflicting priorities across the business, as well as more than 1 million different product categories that we sell. So it's been easy, or it's been easier to go on the journey than I ever expected at Currys. So I've been very, very blessed. And where we are now, of course, and the reason we're here is that we've been working together with Movable on Da Vinci pilot, and I would say we are between 4 to 6 months into the journey now. Maybe 4 months in earnest is when we kicked everything off. And we're going live this Friday, which is so incredibly exciting. And again, I just want to give a shout out to a few members of my Da Vinci squad / team who have worked tirelessly over the last few months in delivering work, strategy, creative, learning new tools and tech, and collaborating with a huge number of internal, external partners and stakeholders to get to where we are, which is 3 days from go live. So yeah, very exciting journey. It's been easier than I ever thought. But that's not to say there's no pressure.
Yep. And how has your role been impacted?
So I think, yeah, just to add to some of the things that Chrissy's mentioned, I think we've actually been quite fortunate to actually trial a few AI tools over the years. And I say, Chrissy actually rightfully said it, quite a few marketing teams are actually trialing different tools. And over the last 4 years, I'd say within the CRM team especially, we have used Gen AI tools, and obviously we've produced copy at scale, and personalized copy at scale, that is. So we've dipped our toes into the world of AI. I'd say we're not new, but I'd say DaVinci actually is a complete game changer to what we do today. So where we've got to is actually quite a very stable, confident place, and we're keen to obviously explore a little bit more about it. But yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a culture of early adoption, right? Really having a knack for innovation. But let's double click on that, Ian. What do you like about DaVinci specifically?
Ooh, good question. I think when the tool was presented a couple of months ago, I think one of the things that stood out to me, obviously apart from the relationship and credibility we've built with working with Movable over the years, one of the things that stood out to me specifically was the fact that it takes the mundane tasks out of my marketing role. And what that means is, I'm sure many of you here, marketers, obviously try to operate a calendar approach, should I say, where obviously you're always playing a bit of Tetris or Jenga, trying to make things fit and work within a calendar. So I think the part that actually stood out to me was actually took that bit away, so that I don't have to have those commercial conversations pretty much every day. But it actually allows me to focus on the fun side of my role, which is the creative and analytics side of things, which I totally enjoy. So I think that was one of the big selling points to me of DaVinci. But yeah, I think the other thing as well I'd say is the operational efficiencies that it could bring as well. I'm sure, again, many marketers out here probably struggle with being able to get a set amount of campaigns out in a week or a month or whatever it is. But with tools like this, actually unlocks a lot of those blockers. So I think those two things are the real key things that stood out to me of DaVinci.
Great. What about you? Anything DaVinci?
Sorry, yes. You lost me there for a second, sorry. Yeah, so for me, the thing that I got most excited about when I heard about DaVinci, actually, in fact, I want to fast forward. The person might not be in this room today, but I first heard about DaVinci last summer after Movable in cab dinner, and my previous senior personalization manager, David Palland, if he's in the room, I don't know if he's here, no, came back really excited to say, oh my God, I have found a product that will deliver our strategy in 6 months instead of 6 years, to which I said, yeah, sure, right, whatever. At what cost, at what time, I don't believe it, tell me more. And we started talking, I said, yeah, it sounds all great, but I'm still skeptical, we'll see, let's talk about it another time. And I kind of brushed it aside, to be absolutely honest with everyone. But David kept persevering, saying how fantastic the tool could be for us as a team, as an organization, particularly with our roadmap and our big bets and backlog just increasing as I was finding my feet into the new organization. I think we had something like 99 initiatives on our backlog, which any fellow marketer in the room would just be like, oh my God, that's overwhelming. Yeah. Really? How about prioritization? But yeah, we put everything that we want to in the backlog, and we just realized this will take us 6 years to deliver and cost an enormous amount. And then we came to Think Summit last year, and I remember seeing yourself and also hearing about Victoria's Secret talking about DaVinci Journey on, and just seeing it visually, and like Ian mentioned before, moving away from the Jenga and trying to fit all the different emails you're trying to cramp out to the same base in the same week, trying to support 15 different commercial teams that all have a P1 campaign that has to go out to the full marketing base on that day. Forget targeting, forget about being relevant, forget about having the right content, just get it out to everyone, because it's all about getting in front of as many people as possible. So that got me really excited. And then it clocked. The 3 things that DaVinci will do for us as an organization is that it will absolutely turbocharge our content and contact strategy. It will enable us to create a library of more than 100 emails that will be sent to the right person at the right time. There's no longer going to be led by the commercial team or a promo planning team to say what needs to be sent when. We will take control, or in fact, DaVinci will take control, to use the data we have given it on past purchase and browse to send the right email at the right time. The second thing that I'm really excited about is what will help us to improve our insight and reporting. That's a huge pain point for us as CRM. It's very difficult for us to self-serve. today, and it takes a very long time for us to get post-campaign analysis generated and run, and reporting is limited. What Da Vinci will do is give us self-serve ability to understand what products, what content blocks are performing, which will help us and creative teams and my team to spend time on strategy and creative, not the manual reporting that we have to every Monday for trade. And then lastly, as Ian mentioned, my number one priority for my team is to work smarter. We are quite lucky, we're a large team, we are 30 people, which is a huge team. But really, with the demand in our business, we can do with another 30 people. The demand is endless and huge. And at the moment, most of the work we do is manual and is handovers, and it takes us a very long time. It can take us 3 weeks to get an email out the door. That is not acceptable in today's society. It's not acceptable for a retailer. So finding a solution that will help us get an email out the door in a couple of days with 3 or 4 handovers rather than 10, using 1 or 2 teams instead of 8, it is a game changer for us. So these 3 strategic objectives that we have with working smarter and faster, having better access to reporting and customer insight, and also being much more relevant to our customers by getting the right content and the right email in front of customers is a tick, tick, tick.
Yep. I mean, that's a complete mic drop, so we can finish here. But no, I do want to quickly touch on, so you're both tenured within retail, right?
Yep.
However, Ian, you've been there for 9 years, you've been at Currys for almost 2. So, you talked about the CMO with some of the early adoption. Yes, let's do it, but I would love to hear a little bit more about getting those key stakeholders on board. So we'll start with Ian. What has that process been like?
Yeah, I think to your point, based on the tenure I've already mounted at Currys, things were quite relatively straightforward. So obviously, over the years, I've worked in high-performing teams, and we've basically built a lot of credibility in the organization in terms of delivering projects and delivering things to budget and to time. So that credibility came quite in hand. And also being able to work with all these stakeholders, you understand and know what each stakeholder requires to obviously get them to buy into a project. So I guess I'd say I tapped into my personal experience over the years and being able to leverage that to obviously get buy-in from senior stakeholders. So I'd say the credibility's actually been quite key in getting stakeholders buy-in. Can't think of anything else that I can say. Yeah?
Anything to add?
I think for me, being new, yes, I don't have the same relationship or know as many people as people like Ian and other members of my team who've been there for a decade or longer. But one advantage of being new is that you do spend the first year establishing new relationships. You meet your peers, you meet the wider organization, you try to understand pain points, you try to understand how you can work better and smarter together. So by having an enormous amount of coffees and virtual catch-ups and meetings with my stakeholders in the business, I kind of build the foundation, and that together with a well-established team and the trust that we have has made it really easy to get buy-in and support.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so that's getting the initial buy-in, but as you mentioned earlier, the pilot's going live later this week, so congratulations. So what does it look like in terms of, keeping them on board during the pilot, but of course post-pilot? And with that, what learnings, right, have you obtained so far that you want to bring into the future?
I'll ask Ian to answer the question on our PR comms plan, because we absolutely have worked really well and hard in establishing which stakeholders we need to engage with at what stage, before pilot, at the start of pilot, and of course the post-pilot wrap-up and recommendation. But do you want to talk about it?
I can cover this. I think so. This is during the pilot. So I think one of the things we've identified is we're trying to understand the stakeholders who have a keen interest in the pilot and stakeholders who just want to know how it's going. So we're trying to tailor our responses and, shall I say, our status updates to each of them, understanding what requirement they need and the cadence and the frequency to obviously share this with them. So for example, our creative teams are really keen to understand the creative output, how the creative is working, and also how they can better, improve their creative output. Whereas you've got the SLT team who are keen to actually understand the performance, so it's trying to understand how test is performing versus control. So it's obviously trying to tailor each report to each stakeholder and trying to understand the frequency to obviously play this back to them, because I think the real key thing is around taking them on the journey with us as well. We just don't want it to be a test that happens in a black box somewhere and then basically at the end of it we come back and say, here are the results, ta-da! And it's like, so we're just trying to make sure we keep them up to date and interested throughout the whole process, yeah.
Perfect. So we've talked a lot about, how to get them on board, but let's talk about the why quickly. So what are the outcomes that you're expecting from this pilot?
So for me, of course, it's all about the commercials. I'm absolutely expecting a minimum 5% revenue uplift versus our BAU approach for the pilot, much more post-pilot. I'm absolutely expecting to have at least 10 to 15 engagement uplift from sending more relevant comms to our customers. And lastly, but not least, I am expecting that the time to market will be drastically reduced from 3 weeks down to less than 7 days as a result of the pilot. So yeah, we have some high achieving KPIs, but I'm confident we'll get there.
Yep, and I would say performance lifts and operational efficiencies are what our enterprise DaVinci clients see today. So last question to wrap us up, what's next for Currys on this AI journey?
Well, so I think one of the things we probably didn't touch on actually is during the pilot, we actually tried in only a quarter of the pilot, of the tool, sorry. So we're keen to actually, get into the toolbox and, start picking out more things out of the DaVinci platform. So that's the first thing we're going to do, is basically trying to explore all the other, AI tools within the toolbox. And naturally, we're obviously keen to, we don't want to stand still. We want to obviously, do some more AI stuff as well, and also trying to understand not just doing AI for AI's sake, but trying to understand how our peers within the industry use AI to obviously better create efficiencies and improve marketing output. So I think Chrissy and I are planning to obviously attend more of these to hear more people talking around AI and how they utilize it with their organizations. I think that summarizes the next step.
Fantastic. Well, I'm so excited for you both and moving away from the calendar, right? That's so exciting as a marketer. Talk about murder on the merchant floor or commercial floor, right? And hope they don't kill our groove. So with that, thank you both for the time today. Thank you all for listening. I hope you feel inspired to disrupt your marketing programs and go back and be a change agent at your own organization. So let's continue the conversation. Please come find us and enjoy the rest of Think Summit.